In ancient Greek religion and mythology, Demeter holds the esteemed role of being the Olympian goddess, overseeing the harvest and agriculture. She is the guardian of crops, grains, sustenance, and the earth's fertility. While she is primarily known as a goddess of grains, her domain extends to encompass health, childbirth, and marriage, and she also has connections to the underworld. Demeter is also referred to as Dio. In the Greek tradition, Demeter is the second child of the titans Rhea and Cronus. She is the sibling of Hestia, Hera, Hades, Poseidon, and Zeus. Like her siblings, she too was swallowed by her father as an infant, but was later rescued by Zeus. Persephone, a fertility goddess, is her daughter, and her connection to Persephone is through her brother Zeus, who is Persephone's father. Demeter's influence and significance in the realms of agriculture and fertility make her an essential figure in Greek mythology. The myth of Demeter is intimately linked with her daughter, Persephone. Persephone had lived with her mother, Demeter, since childhood and had never contemplated marriage. However, her uncle Hades, the ruler of the underworld, had long harbored affection for her. One day, while Persephone was playing with nymphs in a meadow, the earth suddenly fissured open, and Hades seized the opportunity to abduct her. This sinister act was only made possible with Zeus's consent and assistance. Persephone cried out for help as she was taken away, and her mother, Demeter, heard her anguished cries. Her heart ached like a sharp blade, and she immediately abandoned her agricultural duties, racing toward the source of the cries. By the time Demeter reached the scene, Persephone had vanished. In her frantic search, Demeter scoured the ends of the earth for 9 days and nights, but her efforts yielded no results. On the 10th day, Demeter happened upon Hecate, who had also heard Persephone's cries for help, but was unaware of the abductor's identity. They journeyed together to Helios, who revealed the entire story to Demeter. Upon learning the truth, Demeter wasted no time and confronted Zeus. She demanded that he compel Hades to return Persephone immediately, warning that she would render the earth barren and lifeless if her daughter was not reunited with her. In her grief, Demeter disguised herself as an old woman and sought refuge in Eleusis, where she was taken in by Metanera, the wife of King Celeus. There, Demeter cared for their sons, Demophon and Triptolemus, and grew particularly fond of Demophon. She intended to grant him immortality by anointing him with ambrosia and placing him in the fire at night. But her attempt was thwarted when Metanera discovered her actions. Demeter then revealed her divine nature to the king and queen. She taught Triptolemus the art of agriculture and gifted him a sheaf of wheat, instructing him to sow the grain wherever he went. During Demeter's absence from Olympus, the earth languished. Crops failed to grow, seeds rotted in the ground, and the once flourishing grains withered. Famine gripped the land, and people ceased their offerings to the gods. Faced with these dire consequences, Zeus had no choice but to order Hades to release Persephone. However, it had become impossible for her to return entirely, for she had consumed food from the underworld. By the laws of destiny, no one, mortal or divine, could leave the underworld without tasting its food. Persephone had consumed 6 pomegranate seeds. A compromise was eventually reached. Demeter was permitted to return to Olympus to restore life to the earth, and Persephone was designated the ruler of the underworld. She would spend half of each year in the underworld as its queen, and the other half with her mother on the Earth's surface. This arrangement explained the changing seasons. Spring and summer bloomed with renewal when Persephone was with Demeter, and winter cast its icy grip when Persephone returned to Hades. As Demeter searched for her daughter, she was pursued by the amorous Poseidon. In an attempt to evade his advances, Demeter transformed into a mare and joined a herd of horses. However, Poseidon, taking the form of a stallion, mated with her, and from their union, the divine horse, Arion, was born. Other legends tell of Demeter's love affair with Iasion, which resulted in the birth of Plutus, the god of wealth. During the heyday of ancient Greek art, Demeter was often depicted with similarities to Hera, but with a gentler and less imposing countenance. She was portrayed as a compassionate and benevolent figure, typically seen wearing a crown adorned with golden ears of wheat. In her hands, she might hold ears of wheat, daffodils, torches, fruit baskets, horns of plenty, or scythes. The crane was her sacred bird, and the sow was her sacred animal. These symbols and representations conveyed Demeter's connection to agriculture, fertility, and the bountiful harvest. During the heyday of ancient Greek art, Demeter was often depicted with similarities to Hera, but with a gentler and less imposing countenance. She was portrayed as a compassionate and benevolent figure, typically seen wearing a crown adorned with golden ears of wheat. In her hands, she might hold ears of wheat, daffodils, torches, fruit baskets, horns of plenty, or scythes. The crane was her sacred bird, and the sow was her sacred animal. These symbols and representations conveyed Demeter's connection to agriculture, fertility, and the bountiful harvest. Demeter's significance extended beyond being the goddess of grain and Earth's fertility. She was also revered as the goddess of legislation and justice, known as the Mophora. This association with law and justice was rooted in the understanding that agriculture was the foundation of people's livelihood and prosperity. Additionally, Demeter took on a role as the protector of marriage and the family, with her image and functions closely resembling those of Hera. Her worship was often intertwined with that of her daughter, Persephone. The central hub of Demeter's cult was in Eleusis, where secret Eleusinian festivals were conducted. Festivals dedicated to Demeter were celebrated throughout Greece, acknowledging the earth as the source of life and the mother of all things. Offerings made to Demeter included animals like bulls, cows, and pigs, as well as fruits, beehives, fruit trees, ears of wheat, and chestnuts. In Rome, Demeter became conflated with Ceres and became immensely popular among the common people, resulting in the festival typically being held in April. Over time, Demeter's attributes merged with those of other deities like Gaia, Rhea, or Cybele. Initially, the earth was venerated as an all-encompassing deity. However, as religious thought evolved, Demeter emerged as a distinct figure. In the early days of clan nobility, Demeter was considered the second most significant deity in the pantheon. Although Homer's works did not feature Demeter prominently, her importance grew as the significance of agriculture and her cult expanded. By the 5th and 6th centuries BC, Demeter held a prominent position in the Olympian pantheon. Demeter's profound connection to the well-being of the earth and the prosperity of humanity made her a cherished deity in ancient Greece. Her worship was marked by festivals, offerings, and celebrations throughout the land, emphasizing the vital role of agriculture and the earth in sustaining life. Over time, Demeter's story evolved and intertwined with that of other goddesses, including Ceres and Gaia. The myth of Demeter serves as a testament to the enduring bond between humanity and the natural world, highlighting the significance of the harvest, the changing seasons, and the eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Hope you have a wonderful night.